Welcome to the program, friend. My name is Randall Terry, and we're going to have fun today because we're going to explain to Wolf Blitzer, probably he won't ever see this episode, he might, but we're going to explain to him why he is the enemy of the American people and why his friends at CNN, most of them, are in fact the enemy of the American people. Now, for those of you who don't know what's going on, President Trump tweeted something about the press being the enemy of the American people. And of course, it really rankled some of the journalists. And I'm going to play a clip from CNN where Wolf Blitzer and two other CNN correspondents are talking about President Trump's reaction. There's several things in this that we're going to focus on, but I'm gonna play it and I'm gonna focus on one of them, then I'll go into the whole enemy thing. So here we go.
Fall on the political spectrum. And I think that's, as David said, what you're seeing in the coverage is a lot of scrutiny of what actually happened. And he would rather just attack the media for daring to do our jobs, which is to kind of evaluate what he's doing.
But it's so unoriginal, too. I mean, there's no president or political figure who likes the media. And so he's trying to outdo Nixon.
It's one thing not to like the media. We've all worked in this news business for a long time. Everybody's always criticizing us and not happy with our coverage, whether it was President Clinton or President Bush or they're all criticized. But it's another thing to say that, it's not North Korea, it's not Iran, it's not Russia, it's not China. It's journalists like us who are the enemy of the American people.
One of the things that bothers me most about the president is I don't even take what he's saying seriously. It's that he's so casual about throwing out language, and that you really undermine the presidency when you do that, because there will be a time after Donald Trump, believe it or not, and he is doing damage to this notion of do we believe what the president says. But we live in an environment where social media principally allows so much hyperbole that now the president engages in it and it becomes kind of the bloodstream of our public discourse, where you could say something that over the top and that it would be the president of the United States who says it, and I don't take it seriously, which is a problem too, because he's not really being serious when he says it. It's a shame.
But a lot of people do take it seriously,
That's
and
the problem.
It's having an impact.
A lot of his supporters believe that we are the enemy of the American people, and that is really, really an awful situation. We are not the enemy of the American people. We love the American people. All right, guys, thanks very much. President Trump says...
All right. Now, there was one thing that I wonder if you caught, and I'm going to play it again because every time I watch this, I start to laugh. It's when Wolf Blitzer is saying that, all presidents have had problems with us and they're angry with us, whether it's President Clinton or President Bush or play the clip.
The media, we've all worked in this news business for a long time. Everybody's always criticizing us and not happy with our coverage, whether it was President Clinton or President Bush or they're all criticized. But it's another thing to say.
Just play the clip one more time. Go ahead, play it.
And not happy with our coverage, whether it was President Clinton or President Bush or they're all criticized.
He could not bring himself to say the name Obama. Now, Wolf Blitzer is a skilled liar, but even he knew that he was going to have the fact checkers going back. See, Obama never complained about the press. The press were sycophants. Yeah, there were a couple times when he kind of chided them a little bit, but he loved the press. They fawned over him. They did not ask him hard questions. They did not ask him hard follow-up questions. And whenever any rogue journalist did, they were openly scorned and scolded and perhaps not even ever asked back to a press conference. He could not bring himself to say that President Obama complained, because he didn't. So let's use that as our jumping off point, all right? Why, Wolf, you and your compatriots are enemies of the American people? It's because President Obama didn't criticize you. I think he makes a good point. I think one of the points that he made that actually is valid is that presidents want the press to give them good coverage. Presidents don't want bad coverage. No one wants bad coverage. I've been in the media more than most people alive and more than a lot of politicians, okay? You can go back 30 years of stories in the New York Times, Washington Post, wherever, Time Magazine. So I know what it's like to get bad press. And I know what it's like to get honorable and fair press. And I prefer honorable and fair press. So presidents do have a bit of a problem, or rather a bit of a desire wanting good press. But when Obama was was trading cold, hard cash with a terrorist nation named Iran. Where was the media? When Obama was signing one of the worst deals regarding Iran's nuclear program in the history of the human race, where was the media? Where is the media on, let's say child killing? Oh, Wolf, let me explain to you why you're an enemy of the American people. If you were a journalist in Germany, Wolf Blitzer, if you were a German journalist in 1942 and you got a tour of a concentration camp and you knew what was going on, but you were so committed to the ideology of the Third Reich and you had such a disdain and a contempt for Jews that you really never told the truth, would you be an enemy of the German people? Well, actually, not all of them, because there were a lot of anti-Semitic Germans, and there was people in Germany that wanted Jews either dead or imprisoned or in a slave labor force. So in that aspect, it's maybe a little unfair to say that you, Wolf, would have been the enemy of all the German people, but you certainly would have been an enemy to freedom-loving, God-fearing, life-loving German people. And that's what you are. You're not an enemy of all the American people. Let's be clear. You're an enemy of the unborn American people. You're an enemy of truth and justice, which is in the end always going to be better for America. The very fact that you know the truth about the abortion mills in America and you are so cowardly and so godless that you won't report it makes you an enemy. An enemy of righteousness, an enemy of justice, an enemy of truth, an enemy of life, and dare I say it, an enemy of God. Because that's, if you study the scriptures, that's what the enemies of God do. They oppose God. They try and overturn his laws, ignore his laws, rebel against his laws. That's what you do, Wolf. I got to tell you one other quick story about Wolf Blitzer and I. Back in 2010, I managed the campaign of a woman named Missy Smith. Missy was running for the U.S. House of Representatives, the shadow seat actually in Washington, D.C. It doesn't have voting privileges. It was held by Maxine Waters at the time. And I believe it was Maxine Waters. Anyway, Missy was running these commercials and she was running them. I cut the commercials in my studio. I wrote the commercials and we made the buys on big TV stations in Washington, D.C., including Saturday Night Live, David Letterman. We were creating a firestorm showing dead babies on TV and saying that Obama was a baby killer. Well, it got a lot of attention. And CNN did a 3-minute plus story on it. Wolf Blitzer was the guy in the studio and the correspondent was doing this coverage. And I'm in the story and Missy's in the story. The color left Wolf Blitzer's face. He could not speak ill enough of these commercials. That's not journalism. That shows he's a pro-abort. It made me wonder how, if he'd ever had one of his babies killed, or if he'd ever driven a relative or a friend to the abortion mill to kill their baby. Maybe he was having a wave of guilt go over him. His reaction was bizarre. But they never put that online. If you go to CNN.com, every story, every interview that they do, it's all there. But they made a decision that they were going to bury that 3-minute story as fast as they could and as far away as they could. It was as if it never happened. Never showed up again. Didn't air again. Didn't run on the CNN website. You know why? Because they're enemies of the truth. That's why. Wolf, I'm going to be back in a minute. I'm going to explain to you other ways that you are an enemy of the American people. I'm just warming up, buddy. Don't go away, friends. You fellow lovers of righteousness and dare I say, never mind. I'll be right back.